Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to CineMike. For this episode, I'm going to be reviewing Transformers: The Last Knight, the fifth film in the franchise that is based on the line of toys that started back in 1984. This led to a popular animated television series, and with their powers combined, a lasting impression was made on a generation of kids. Leave it to greedy movie suits to capitalize on nostalgia. That isn't always a bad thing, as this has led to some fun franchises. However, the Transformers films have made a reputation for being loud, mindless, explosion-driven messes. Under the direction of the pyromaniac Michael Bay, the films have been financial successes despite having very mixed critical and audience reaction. The suits have a lot riding on The Last Knight, as they intend for this to be the start to another cinematic universe to compete against the likes of Marvel, DC, Star Wars, and etc. Well, did they get this one right? At this point, was anyone really expecting them to? I know that I'm speaking for only one side of the argument here, but after the first movie, which I overall enjoyed, these movies have not connected with me. I won't dismiss there being moments of entertainment value, but I found the majority of these films pretty empty. Most of the issues that have plagued the series up to this point continues here. The greatest enemy of this franchise has always been the man helming it, Michael Bay. He originally started off with a promising career in action, bringing a fresh energy to his projects. Movies like Bad Boys and The Rock, they were a lot of fun to watch. However, with more success, then the more obsessed he became with developing action and spectacle at the expense of story and characters. And to an extreme degree. He shoots his films like it's made for people with ADHD. When we see what little story there is, we are racing through frantic spoken dialogue, tones that shift over the map, and jumping from different settings and characters at a disorientating pace. When there's action, then Bay feels like a kid in a candy shop on a sugar high. It's like watching someone play a video game. There's so much carnage and explosions that you feel numb to it all fairly quickly. Rather than having his action build up its excitement, he comes right out the gates firing everything he's got. He doesn't know how to craft it. Sure, some of it is impressive, but it's easy to feel desensitized to it all. He somehow makes action feel boring. Also, Bay has no concept of the saying, "kill your darlings," meaning that a storyteller must know how to trim down their work for its own good. This movie is freaking 2 hours and 30 minutes long. I hate to break it to Michael Bay, but his characters and story are not interesting enough to carry that much time. A film is truly crafted with how it's edited, but his films feel like he keeps everything in no matter how unnecessary or unfocused it all is. The first act doesn't even begin until an hour into the film. Up to that point, all of that time is used to set up most of the things that a traditional film does in an opening sequence. Like you all know the James Bond opening sequences before the credits? That's pretty much the first hour of this movie. The pacing is so strange. In the first half, you have Mark Wahlberg caught up in a surrogate father plot with Isabella Moner, a 14-year-old orphan who's handy with Transformers. Then in the second half, this relationship totally disappears and is replaced with a romantic one between Wahlberg and Laura Haddock, which, by the way, feels forced, and the chemistry between them is never that great. And then they try to bring Moner's character back in at the end, but by that point, I had almost forgotten that she was in the movie at all. The movie is once again populated with an assortment of Transformers that serve as stereotypes, which borderline on being offensive, I'm sure. You also have the character William Lennox returning. He's working with the TRF in hunting down the Transformers. He says he thinks that the TRF is in the wrong, but that doesn't seem to stop him from putting 100% into helping them anyways. You all know how in the trailers they advertised this to be a story about Optimus Prime going to the dark side and needing to be brought back to the light? Yeah, that takes up all of about 10 minutes of this movie. Most of this story is built around a powerful staff that was given to Merlin in the Dark Ages. Oh, and if you thought that being in the distant past would stop Bay from exploding everything in sight, then you'd be wrong. Anyways, aside from a very random and rushed-through scene with Optimus Prime returning to his home planet of Cybertron to confront his maker, the powerful sorceress Quintessa, he doesn't even appear in this movie until near the end. And the crisis of him being corrupted by Quintessa to destroy Earth and recreate Cybertron? Well, it is so very easily resolved. You wonder why they even bothered. It's so anticlimactic. Now, all of this said, even disappointing movies are usually not without some redeemable qualities. I think that I was maybe a pinch more engaged in The Last Knight than I was with the fourth film, Age of Extinction. though it's hard to judge since I have only seen the fourth film once and I don't remember it very clearly. Even though the plot of The Last Night felt everywhere at times, I felt that the shared goal of the characters to obtain Merlin's staff provided at least a little focus. It almost became like an Indiana Jones quest in that way. I also thought that the movie introduced two entertaining new characters. You have Sir Edmund Burton, played by the always great Anthony Hopkins. He's filling the wise old man archetype, but he says things that break from what you'd expect. He has some of the best dialogue in the movie, which, by the way, most of the dialogue's not that great. But then you also have Burton's 4-foot-tall, sociopathic robot butler named Cogman. He's very blunt and speaks whatever's on his mind. He has crazy mood swings, taking offense to random stuff. He's unpredictable, and that makes him fun to watch. There's a pretty funny scene where Burton is going over spoon-fed exposition. You know those scenes that are kind of dull, that are all about destiny and all that? Well, as Burton is going on and on about it, you keep hearing this traditional epic music in the background, and then you see that it's Cogman who's been playing the cues himself off camera. It's a really great way to have fun with a scene that would otherwise feel dry, so I have to credit Michael Bay here. Though I could make the argument that Cogman is very reminiscent of K-9 from Star Wars Rogue One. There's even a point where Cogman is compared to C-3PO. But despite that, he and Hopkins were the highlight of the movie for me, and I guess all the actors did the best they could with what little they had for the most part. The visual effects were also pretty good, I suppose, so there's some things in there. In the end, The Last Night just further demonstrates how uninspired and shallow the series is. While I feel that this is a slight improvement over the last film, it's still a bunch of noise for the most part. You can't have good action without good characters and story. This is like screenwriting 101. All of those explosions don't mean anything if you're not invested in the characters that are in danger. I would say that this series is more frustrating than it is bad. It's just annoying that Michael Bay doesn't seem to listen or care about what many people negatively criticize his films for. He's laughing all the way to the bank, but you'd hope that after all these movies, that he would finally get it right, but it's pretty much just more of the same in the end. I've read that this will be the final Transformers film for both Mark Wahlberg and Michael Bay. Maybe that will turn out to be the best thing for the series. Then again, I am feeling pretty drained with the Transformers movies. They'd have to do a really great follow-up to win back my interest at this point. Well, I guess like it or not, there's a whole bunch more Transformers coming our way, with a Bumblebee spin-off to be the first in the new cinematic universe that they're trying to put together. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the very best that this movie could be for me, I would give Transformers The Last Night a 4. And that's all I've got for you this time. Click like if you enjoyed this video, and please feel free to leave a comment below. Tell me if you agree or disagree, and I of course welcome you to subscribe to the channel. So until next time, this is Mike, signing off.